Good morning, good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and others. My name is Arcada, and welcome to Glass Reflection. Today, another anime review, which is a silly pun making fun of the fact that besides everything else I'm about to talk about with this anime, its title is complete shite. Let us begin. In another, the story goes that 26 years ago, in classroom 3C at Yomi North Junior High, there used to be a student named Misaki. She was a popular girl with good grades, a model student to be sure, but shortly after starting 9th grade, she died. This, of course, was a shock to the whole school, a regrettable incident that unfortunately occurs in life. But nothing really became amiss until one day, shortly afterwards, a student from her class proclaimed, "Misaki's not dead. She's right there." And then, either as a coping mechanism or partial insanity, the entire class agreed with him. All the way through until graduation, the class acted as if Misaki never died, like she was always there. Now, fast forward 26 years when a young boy transfers into the very same classroom and wonders why there is a young girl named Misaki sitting in the back row. A girl that no one else in the class seems to believe exists. Also, there's this curse that has been set upon the class that threatens to, well, you know, brutally murder anybody that is unnecessary to the progression of the plot, like little red shirts to the slaughter. Koichi Sakakibara is our main protagonist / mysterious transfer student who really isn't that mysterious at all. He's a character that spends an awful amount of time in hospitals and just plain being sick. His frailty is supposed to be a large selling point, almost as if we're supposed to feel sorry for him. And you know, it would have worked too if he wasn't such a boring twat. The lead character in any mystery series is supposed to be the one that asks the tough questions, makes mistakes in the pursuit of the answer. You know, everything you learn to do from an average episode of The Magic School Bus. The problem is that Koichi is more of an observer to the events that happen rather than the detective that solves the mystery. In plainer terms, he's useful for fuck all. This is Misaki Mei, a seemingly normal middle school student who wears an eye patch and has the ability to randomly appear and disappear like the goddamn Batman. She lives in an artist gallery filled with creepy dolls, almost as a reminder to you that this show is supposed to be dark and scary, as if the massive amounts of gore hadn't tipped you off to that already. Misaki's main job in the show is to act distant, be mysterious, and basically not give a shit. And as such, she ends up having the same character personality as her spiritual sisters, Rei Ayanami and Yuki Nagato. This of course makes her the best character in the entire show. Why? Well, in the immortal words of Crispin Freeman.
Can I be frank?
Yeah.
The quiet ones, they tend to be the kinky ones.
Okay.
Most of the supporting cast is not worth talking about, mainly because more or less every one of them are just as expendable as the next, and it's really hard to develop characters that are only going to get brutally murdered by the end of any given episode. However, the next character I mention, not because I believe she is important, but because everybody else seems to. This is Izumi Akazawa, a girl who holds the job as Chief of Countermeasures for Class C3. BO. Basically, it's her job to ensure that no one gets killed from the main curse of the show that has been plaguing the class for the last 26 years. Guess how well she does at it. What annoys me most is not how useless her character is, because if she wasn't there wouldn't be a plot, but how the show tries to make it seem like her character was more tragic than it actually is. Like everything that happened wasn't in any way directly her fault. There was this poll made in Japan somewhere, ranking the most tragic anime heroines ever. And you wanna know who topped that list? Like, are you f***ing kidding me? Izumi's story was tragic? Go talk to Momiji Soma and ask him about his childhood. That's tragic. Even among female characters there are better choices. Go ask Euphemia from Code Geass, which he's gonna end up being remembered for. That's tragic. Izumi, like for fuck. The animation of the show is one of the high points, as it was produced by Studio PA Works, responsible for shows like Angel Beats and Can-An. It gets its merit points for attempting to pick up the slack in the mood and tone of the show where the story and characters fall flat. Though mostly it's filled with very dark and dreary colors to make everything look depressing and more miserable than a rainy day alone without my girlfriend. What? I'm serious, it's not pretty. The only color that really stands out is that of the blood from the various death scenes scattered throughout several episodes, which, incidentally, are the best animated scenes in the show, even if they're only there for shock value. Well, I guess you could say that makes it a shocking experience. The story sets itself up as being this rather serious mystery show with horror elements a la Higurashi no Naku Koro ni, but it ends up shooting itself in the foot in terms of pacing. Another heavily relies on a string of coincidences to drive some of its major plot elements when convenient. Most of the episodes seem to be written like the death scene was the first thing put in the script, and then the writers threw in some info dump scenes to explain the convoluted plot because Koichi sure as hell isn't going to figure it out on his own, and then they just fill in the rest of the episode with whatever they feel like. For example, an out-of-place dance number. Misaki! Even the mystery is not all that mysterious the second you realize that the show has absolutely no problems with flat-out lying to you to protect its sacred answer. It likes to be contradictive, and therein lies its predictability. On top of this, the show lays out specific rules for its curse and the cause of said curse far too early on, allowing the viewer to get into a sort of comfort zone, and even though people are dying left and right, nothing surprises you. Why? Because everything is going according to plan. What it needed was a little more chaos!
Nobody panics when things go according to plan, even if the plan is horrifying.
The music for Another was composed by Ko Otani, also known for his soundtracks of Haibane Renmei, Shakugan no Shana, and Gundam F***ing Wing. Most of the soundtrack complements the dreary visuals with an eerie atmosphere that is fitting for this kind of show, but that's basically all it is. A compliment. Very few tracks stand out on their own, the only exception is the main theme, which not only sounds eerily amazing, but also kicks the crap out of the show's actual opening. Speaking of, the show's opening was done by Ali Project, and as a fan of Ali Project openings, I have to say that I'd have more fun scraping my nails against a chalkboard than listening to this particular opening. While Ali Project has usually been the best choice for shows that are more gothic in theme, also somehow involving dolls, see Rose and Maiden, Ali's particular style of music I found to be more of a contrast to the tone of this show rather than something that defines it. The ending was nice though. In terms of enjoyment, as much as my reviewer self can point out the crappy characters, not including Misaki, and the predictable mystery, I found the show to be somewhat enjoyable. There was still this want to continue to the next episode, even if I had a very good idea of what was going to happen in it, so I guess it received some points there. Another is a show that, while it likes to fall flat on its face in a lot of ways, is still interesting enough to watch if you're into this kind of thing. It may not be as mind-blowing as some of the better shows in the genre, but it was a step in the right direction, even if only an unsteady step at best. Not recommended for the squeamish or faint of heart, however, as the death scenes are quite graphic in execution. Overall, I give Another a rating of 6.82 out of 10, and a recommendation to stream it rather than buy. At the time of this video, you can check out the full series over on Crunchyroll, with DVD and Blu-ray releases forthcoming from Sentai Filmworks if you happen to enjoy it more than myself. Alternate anime recommendations if you happen to like Another are both seasons of the already famous Higurashi no Naku Koro ni, along with the psychological mystery show Monster, both of which should do you well. And with that, I leave you. Until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, stay frosty.
青き明日ここは一人君はまたごたくもなく夜を追うものだ開けん長き影を恐れが